Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about my university experience and the thoughts that I had before I went to university and try and help those out that are scared of their university before they go towards it. So stick around in this video to find out what I thought and what I was scared of when I went. Okay, so when you first go to university, there are a lot of things that you would be a bit hesitant about. Obviously, living with people, learning by yourself, all these other different little things. But most of the time, they are quite bearable and quite manageable. So the first thing that I would want to turn to is independent living. So independent living is a very hard concept to get from, especially if you've been living with your parents for 18 plus years. So for me, I live here in Bishop Stortford, but then I moved down to Bournemouth to do television production. And that transfer was quite a large one. It's about 2.5 hours from where I am located at the minute. And the fact is as well, is that you're moving into a property or student halls with people that you don't necessarily know. So I had a few flatmates. I got on well with pretty much all of them and had a really, really good time. In most rooms, you normally get your room, you have an ensuite, and then you have a shared kitchen. So the shared kitchen can get a little bit messy depending on the people that you share with, but generally your room should be pretty tidy if you're the one that's looking after it. I did a video quite a while ago that I will drop in the description about my room tour of Dorchester House in Bournemouth. So if you want to have a look at that, pop over there and have a look at that after you've seen this video. And that basically broke down what I have in my student room. It didn't quite look at the kitchen, but that gives you a general vibe of what you would have in a student halls. Each student halls differ in terms of what you're provided and the things that you get. So as an example, I got an ensuite room and there were other rooms. So there's studio apartments that have kitchens in the actual room itself. They're obviously bigger rooms though. And then you also do have some student halls that have shared bathrooms as well. Depends on what part of the country you are in and obviously what country you're in to start with. The second thing that I looked at when I was at university, or going to university, should I say, were the people that I were going to meet. So you can always reach out to people. You can go on Facebook groups. You can look at Instagram, and you can message people if you're willing to do that. There are hundreds and hundreds of different things out there you can get in contact people with, and I would highly recommend doing it. One of my friends, James, I did a podcast with him and Maddie. I'll link that in the description as well. I basically messaged him on Instagram. I had seen him, seen that he was on the course, and we got chatting, and we're pretty good mates now. And me reaching out and doing that basically enabled me to form that bond and relationship that has led on to what I have now in terms of being good pals with him. So you do have that own, you have to go out and make yourself known. But the majority of people that are at university may not be like that. So some people do still get a little bit wary surrounding that sort of topic. You have to be careful when you first go to university as well, because people that are going to be in the first few weeks or like freshers, they're sometimes a little bit fake. Sometimes they're not necessarily their normal personalities. They put a face on, they put a different figure on or a character on just in order to impress you. And that happens with anyone, like in any circumstance or the new setting that you're in. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to just fit in, and sometimes people do put up a different sort of front. But that shouldn't worry you in any sort of way. If you really want to get to know someone, they'll put their guard down pretty quickly, and then you do learn what they're going to be like as a person. The third thing that really worried me when I went to university was how I was going to get to campus. So for Bournemouth University and Dorchester House especially, there is a bus stop right outside Dorchester House. So this basically enables me to get the bus straight up to university. They run fairly regularly on the bus timetable, and it's not that hard at all. It's also a 30-40 minute walk. I'm going to be looking at doing that next year because I'm moving into a house. That obviously depends where you live as well. Most students do live in halls for the first year, and then in the second year, they go into houses, shared houses, and then you can walk to campus or drive to campus, whatever you choose to do. But for me, in the first year, most of my stuff was still online, but I did also use the bus network. And basically the bus network enables you to get from point A to point B within the Bournemouth sort of area. With the student card that I got and the accommodation provider that I was with, IQ Students, I got a bus pass, so the uni bus pass. And the uni bus pass not only allows you access to all the university buses like the U1, the U2 and U3, but then also some of the more buses, so like the M1 and M2. So that means that you can get around to Poole, down into Bournemouth Town Centre, and pretty much anywhere you would need to go, really. Most of my work that was committed on campus were workshops. Most of the lectures that I had were all online. Fingers crossed next year that will have changed, but we will have to see what comes forward. Okay, so number 4. One of the other major things that I was concerned about when I went to university was how hard is a course going to be and how much independent learning do I have to do? Well, for me personally, the step up from university to from A-levels to university wasn't that significant. Obviously, there was a lot more work involved in a university degree. However, because I was taking so many courses at A-level, and they were very, very intense, it basically took a little bit of a weight off my shoulder, focusing on one subject and just doing coursework and practical elements. Also, because I love the subject that I'm involved in, it makes it much more easier for me to do it. Like doing videos like this, I love doing. So you can see how I kind of enjoy the subject that I do. But you shouldn't really be that apprehensive about the workload. If you're going to university, you're obviously a pretty decent student in the first place. You know what you're going to do. You know that you're able to do the university experience. So don't worry about it. There's nothing to worry about at all. Just get on with it, knuckle down and get your work done. The final thing that I was worried about, so that's number 5. The final thing that I was worried about, number 5, was the learning approach. So as I mentioned previously, independent learning, you have to go off your own back. I mean, it is quite a transition from A-level to university. But the learning approach for me was one of a different one, really. So when you're at A-level, you basically get taught everything. You're told to do this, you're told to do that, and you have to stick to what the teachers say. Whereas when you go to university, it's more of a free sort of study area. You work on the topics you want to work on, obviously with specific guidelines, but most of the time there is flexibility and movement within those topic areas. For me, I did an independent project a while back. There'll be a link in the description for that. And I focused on the keyword isolation. So in that case, you could pick multiple different keywords and work on each individual one. So then you get a more broad sort of span of students doing different subjects and topics. But you need to think when you go to university, it's an independent course. You need to be willing to do the work, but at the same time, it's what you put in is what you get back. Thank you very much for watching today's video on what I felt about when I first went to university. If you have any comments or any questions you want to ask me about my university experience, or if you're a little bit apprehensive about the things you're going to do before going to university, drop me a message in the comments, or if you don't want anyone seeing the main comments, head over to my Instagram, MatthewPrice1, and drop me a message over there, and I'll free to have a little bit more of a chat to you about it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next one.